It all started with betrayal. I had always been the quiet one, the reliable one, the person everyone trusted. But trust is a fragile thing, easily shattered with one act of deception. My best friend Daniel was someone I considered a brother. We grew up together, shared dreams, and even built a business side by side. I never imagined he would be the one to stab me in the back. But one day, I discovered that he had secretly been siphoning money from our company, using my ideas and claiming them as his own. I felt the anger bubbling up inside me, a deep resentment clawing at my chest. I had given everything to our partnership, and he had taken it all away without a second thought. I could have confronted him, demanded an explanation, or taken legal action. But no, that wasn't enough. I wanted him to suffer, to feel the same sense of betrayal and despair that I did. I started planning my revenge, meticulously designing a downfall so catastrophic that he would never recover. It had to be perfect. I had to make sure he never saw it coming. Revenge is best served cold, and I intended to make it a feast. I started small, whispering doubts into the ears of investors, subtly leaking misinformation that made Daniel seem incompetent. I knew his weaknesses, his pride, his impatience, his inability to handle stress. I exploited every single one of them. I made sure he took on risky deals, encouraged his reckless spending habits, and quietly sabotaged his reputation. Every step was calculated, every move designed to make him walk straight into his own ruin. I didn't stop there. I fabricated emails, messages that made it seem like he was involved in illegal dealings. I forged bank statements, making it look like he was laundering money through our company. I wanted him not just bankrupt, but disgraced. The deeper he dug himself into the mess I created, the more I relished watching his confidence unravel. He had no idea that the person he trusted most was the one orchestrating his downfall. It didn't take long for the pressure to break him. Investors pulled out, clients started questioning him, and employees whispered behind his back. His confidence cracked, and soon, paranoia took hold. He started looking over his shoulder, suspecting everyone around him, except me. He still trusted me. He still confided in me, asking for advice on how to fix things, never realizing that I was the reason his world was falling apart. But as I watched him unravel, something unexpected happened. A part of me felt guilty. I told myself he deserved it, that this was justice. But was it, or had I become worse than him? I had manipulated, lied, and destroyed without a second thought. I had turned into something I never imagined, a person consumed by vengeance. I told myself I would stop, that I had done enough. But revenge is intoxicating, a drug that feeds on your darkest desires. And I wasn't done yet. The final blow had to be personal. I leaked the falsified documents to the press, exposing him as a fraud, a criminal. The scandal erupted overnight, and the media devoured it like vultures. Daniel's name was dragged through the mud, his reputation permanently tainted. He lost everything, his business, his home, even his family distanced themselves from him. The day he was arrested, I watched from the shadows as he was led away in handcuffs. He looked lost, broken, like a man who had lost not just his wealth, but his very sense of self. And in that moment, I should have felt victorious, but all I felt was emptiness. Revenge isn't justice. It's a poison that corrodes your soul. I had won, but at what cost? My business was still standing, but I had lost myself in the process. I wasn't the man I used to be. I had become cold, calculating, ruthless, and now I had to live with the consequences. Late at night, I would sit in the dark, staring at my reflection, wondering if I had really won, or if, in the end, Daniel had taken something from me too, my conscience. Days turned into weeks, and the initial rush of my victory started to fade. The business was mine now, no more competition, no more threats, but I couldn't shake the emptiness that followed. The satisfaction I had craved never truly arrived. Instead, there was silence, a gnawing hollowness that echoed in every quiet moment. I kept waiting for the sense of triumph, for the sweet taste of revenge to fill me up. But instead, all I had left was a lingering sense of regret. People around me started to notice the change. My employees still respected me, but the way they looked at me was different. It was subtle, hesitation in their voices, nervous glances when I entered a room. It was like they sensed the darkness I carried, even if they didn't know the full extent of what I had done. It made me uneasy. I had won the war, but at what cost? My world felt lonelier than ever. Just when I thought I could move on, my past came knocking. One day I received an anonymous message. "I know what you did." My heart pounded as I read it over and over again. No name, no number, just those 5 haunting words. My mind raced. Who could it be? Had Daniel figured it out? Had someone been watching me all along? Panic crept in like a slow poison. I tried to act normal, but every interaction felt like an interrogation. I studied faces, listened for hidden meaning in conversations. The paranoia was suffocating. I had crafted the perfect revenge, but I hadn't prepared for the possibility of being exposed. I had ruined Daniel, but now someone out there held the power to ruin me. The messages didn't stop. Every few days, another cryptic text would arrive. Regret is a heavy burden. What goes around comes around. I felt like a hunted man. I changed my routines, avoided public events, even considered leaving the company altogether. But no matter how much I tried to outrun my past, it followed me like a shadow. Then one night I saw it, a figure standing across the street watching my apartment. My breath caught in my throat. Was it Daniel? Was it someone else? I rushed outside, but by the time I got there, the figure was gone. The street was empty, but I knew. I wasn't imagining things. Someone knew, and they weren't going away. I couldn't take it anymore. The paranoia, the messages, the looming threat of exposure, it was eating me alive. I barely slept, barely ate. Every conversation felt like a trap, every glance a suspicion. I started drinking more, trying to numb the fear. But no matter how much I drowned myself in alcohol, the truth wouldn't go away. Then one night I made a mistake. I called Daniel. I told myself I just wanted to hear his voice, to see if he was the one behind all this. But the moment he answered, I knew he was just as broken as me. His voice was hollow, filled with bitterness and exhaustion. And then he said something that chilled me to the bone. "You think you won? Look at yourself. You lost more than I ever did." I had spent so much time crafting Daniel's destruction that I never realized I had orchestrated my own. The business, the money, the revenge, it meant nothing. I had become a man I no longer recognized, driven by bitterness instead of ambition. And for what? To ruin someone who had already lost everything? I stared at my reflection, and for the first time I saw the real enemy. It wasn't Daniel. It was me. I had let revenge consume me, twist me into something monstrous, and now I had to face the consequences. I had 2 choices: keep running from my past, or finally face it. I chose the latter. The next day I went public with the truth. I resigned from my position, admitted to my role in Daniel's downfall, and prepared for whatever consequences awaited me. I knew I would lose everything: money, reputation, power, but for the first time in years I felt free. Daniel never responded to my confession. He didn't have to. This wasn't about redemption. It was about accepting the weight of my own actions. I lost my company. My name was tarnished. But strangely, I felt lighter. I took a job far away from the corporate world, living a simple life, trying to rebuild myself from the wreckage of my past. People still whispered about me, still judged me, but I no longer lived in fear. Looking back, I realized that revenge is never truly satisfying. It's a slow poison, turning you into something unrecognizable. I thought I was destroying an enemy, but I was only destroying myself. And in the end, I learned that justice and revenge are not the same thing. But by the time I realized it, it was already too late.